This program was brought to you by Organo Gold. Organo Gold is a health and wellness company that provides healthy coffees, teas, and chocolate. All one has to do is consume the available coffee, teas, chocolate, and other products to get all the available benefits. One can also share these products with others to help them improve their health as well.
And now, FAIRFAX Breakfast Club with your host, Basil Lemba.
Welcome to the FAIRFAX Breakfast Club show. My name is Basil Lemba and I will be your host. The FAIRFAX Breakfast Club is a weekly program in which we bring to you valuable and workable know-how you can use to improve your networking skills and grow your business. We always start the show with a quote, and today's quote is, "Some say the economy means that you have to persuade people to invest in clothes, to buy less things, but more expensive things. I disagree. Invest in jewelry or a house, maybe, but not in fashion." That is from Donatella Versace. With us today in the studio, we have someone who helps people invest in jewelry and coins. His name is TJ. Hello, TJ.
Hello, Basil.
How are you?
I'm very good. Thanks for having me on the show.
Okay, my pleasure. Tell us, how do you get to have this business? Because it's quite a unique business.
It is a unique business. My background, I started out as a commodities and foreign exchange trader on Wall Street. Mm-hmm. It's a little bit of an unusual career path to wind up here. Mm-hmm. But I always enjoyed trading, mm-hmm. and I always enjoyed collecting. Mm-hmm. And it was in 2007 where I was able to put the two together. I was able to do something that was interesting from a historical perspective and also combined the trading opportunities that exist in the market for rare coins and currency.
Mm-hmm. How did you do that? How did you get started?
It was not a long thought out plan to begin penny pincher coins and jewelry. Mm-hmm. It was very much one of those one thing led to another type situations. I was doing some work for another company in e-commerce, mm-hmm. and so I built a website and started buying and selling rare coins that I had. And as I said, one thing led to another, and then I started doing more of the trade shows, and then I became involved in the business on a wholesale level. And then I opened a buying office in Fair Oaks and was buying estates and collections through private meetings and offices. Mm-hmm. And then in 2011, about 3 years ago, I opened our first store in Fairfax City. Mm-hmm. And that helps us meet with the customers face to face and begin to work with them as they either move a collection through or look to add to their collection. Mm-hmm. And there's a wide variety of people that are interested in the marketplace. There's a group of people that are interested in coins for the gold and silver value, the bullion value, if you will. Mm-hmm. And they benefit from owning a physical piece of gold or silver when the price appreciates. It's also a good way to save. You think twice about spending an ounce of gold or an ounce of silver.
It's more than twice.
It's very easy to just swipe a credit card, but when you have to pull out an ounce of gold and spend it, maybe you don't need it. So it does. It helps people save in that respect. And then you get into the more collector market, and there's basically two groups. There's casual collectors, mm-hmm. from kids on up, that like to buy affordable historical items. You can buy Confederate notes from the Civil War for $20 to $30. Mm-hmm. You can buy late Roman Empire bronze coins for $20 to $30 in decent condition. Right. Yesterday I sold a coin from 500 BC from the Achaemenid Empire. Oh, yeah. And it's $140. It's not exactly cheap, but it's not exactly a fortune. And then you get into the more serious collectors, and these are people that are buying coins and currency for the numismatic premium. They're the rarity and the condition that it comes in, mostly because they're collectors, which is the right attitude to have. Mm-hmm. But odds are, if you hold it for a period of time, 10, 20 years, the prices have been appreciating. Oh, yeah. And they find that, over a period, like real estate, over a 20 or 30 year horizon, they're not making any more of these, so they tend to go up in value. Mm-hmm. They're looking for pieces that are more expensive, more rare, have a higher condition, or just overall, certain type of appeal, mm-hmm. that makes it unique to the numismatic collector.
Mm-hmm. So the clientele then is pretty much, it's just anybody, it's not specific. Of course you have the collectors, but also most of the people. But one thing caught my attention is savings.
Yeah.
We talked about saving last time. Tell me how you see you can help with saving.
I think what happens in America today is everyone has a credit card. I'm the worst offender. I'm in the coin business and I'm still giving Starbucks in my card for $2.35 every morning. Money goes out very quickly when you do that. If you come in on a regular basis and buy US silver coins, 1 ounce silver coins, or pieces of gold coin in various denominations from 1/10 of an ounce up to an ounce, you put it away and you tend not to want to then go and liquidate that and spend it on something you don't necessarily need. And people, I think, tend to fritter away a lot of money throughout the week on, I don't want to pick on Starbucks, but on coffee and newspapers and things you don't necessarily need. But if you took that and just one day, one time a week, you come in, you buy a $25 ounce of silver, you put it away, 50 ounces of silver at the end of the year. I had a gentleman who worked with me. He was a contract painter. Right? And he came in, he loved gold coins, but he said he could never afford to own a gold coin. I said, well, why don't you do this? Why don't you start buying some silver? And when you have enough, trade it in for gold coins. He had 4 ounces of gold by the end of the year. Just from his overtime money, because he'd come in every week with $40, $50, buy a little bit of silver, put it away, and then he'd bring the silver in and trade it in for the gold. So it's a way to help people think about what they're really doing with the cash that goes in and out. And I think that's the real disservice in some ways of the electronic currency that we have, is it's very easy to spend. When you have to peel off $100 bills, it's a little slower when thinking about spending it. But if you want to swipe the card, hey, and it's $600 gone. But when you buy the gold and the silver, you like to put it away, put it in your drawer, put it in your safe, a safe deposit box, wherever it is. And like everything, generally speaking, over time it goes up in value. But mostly it helps people save because it's very tangible. And the ink on a statement, a bank statement, is not very tangible. And whether it says 6,000 or 60,000 or 600, it doesn't really land as well as having a stack of silver coins in your safe.
That's great. That's excellent. So what is your biggest challenge in your business? What would you consider the biggest challenge?
We deal with a variety of estates from large to small. We deal with a lot of pieces of coins and jewelry. We have a whole process for that. But I think our challenge is constantly working through the backlog of inventory that comes in. We will buy trunks full of coins. I bought a shoebox of estate jewelry from one lady. She bought a car. And it takes a lot of time to work through that. So being able to train the right kind of people to be able to work through that and make it market ready. When you're dealing with...
You train them yourself to make them?
I do, yeah. I've got 3 employees, and it takes some time to train people, know what to look for, and then once you know what to look for, we have a whole process of making it market ready. Just because it's a coin in a album or something, it's not necessarily ready to be sold.
Gotcha, okay.
We've got to check it, authenticate it, we've got to grade it, check the market price of it. Then we have to, if it's a better piece, we're going to inventory it, we're going to put it in a holder, we're going to image it, we're going to list it on the website, then we're going to put it out for sale. It's a lot going on just to make something available. So yeah, that's probably the biggest challenge is being able to scale that process. But aside from that, obviously...
Well, how did you learn that yourself? Because you came from banking. I'm just curious, how do you get yourself trained in that?
Well, in terms of optimizing the process,
yes,
trial and error.
Okay.
You do it wrong for a while. It takes too long, and then you find a way. Well, always ask yourself: is there a better way to do this? And over a period of time, 3 to 5 years, we slowly figure out the shortcuts and ways to make it work for us economically. If we're paying somebody a certain market rate, and they're sitting there looking at 50-cent coins, it doesn't pay for itself. So yeah, being able to have the eye for it. I mean, I have 2 guys that work with me. We have the eye for this stuff. We can go through a whole album in under a minute and pick out the high value pieces for people.
I guess with the experience also.
With experience, it does, absolutely. Yeah, that's the biggest thing.
Okay. And what do you consider your biggest success?
just being able to do this full time is a tremendous success. You know, when I'm a bit unusual, right? So I started on Wall Street. I have a pretty good academic background, and I just don't like working for large organizations. I really value being able to work for myself, to build something every day, to be able to. One of the guys that's working for me is putting himself through college. The other guy is it's part-time work for him, and so we're able to help a lot of. I had a number of recent college graduates that have worked for me. And they do it for 6 months or a year, and then they get something on their resume, and they can go off and get a bigger job. But mostly being able to do something I love every single day is my success, and I think that's really the greatest achievement of it. So.
That's great. No, that's phenomenal. Now, tell us, TJ, you attended our breakfast event last week.
I did.
Yeah, tell us our experience about it.
It was a good experience. There were probably 60 or 70.
80, actually.
80? That was a good guess. 80 professionals there. We had a chance to hear a presentation on security, and we also got to meet a number of people. And that I think is very important, because a lot of times you can go to a marketing event or a networking event, and there's a lot of people there, but you don't necessarily meet more than one or two. And at the end, where we did the speed dating, if you will, that was very effective. Just to say hello to a number of people. You do that every month. That's 400 people a year know about your business that didn't know about it last year.
Yes.
And you start adding that up over 5-10 years, it's thousands of people that know about your business.
That's correct.
Yeah.
And then you get the list after the event also.
The list is very effective. I mean, unfortunately, we've put them on our email mailing list, so they're going to...
No, that's the reason.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? Well, this is the difference, actually, because in most of the follow-up or most of networking events is 4%. The follow-up event is at least 50%. When you do it the way we do it, people do not mind getting communication from you. Which is different. If they need your help, maybe bump into them, say, "There's my card," and then they get an email from the lab.
That's this guy.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But the way it is set up, you get to introduce yourself. Yeah, my name is TJ. I'm with Penny Pincher. They see you. Well, everybody's come. They see who you are, and then you get a chance to meet with them again. When you're mingling, there's an opportunity to meet with them. When you stand up, they see you. The whole room is quiet. It's just you standing. They get to know who you are. And then you get to them the chance to meet with them already in the chairs. The bonding is there.
Yeah.
They don't mind that, isn't it?
Yeah. No, it was excellent. I was very pleased with the contacts that I made.
Yeah, so of course we do that, folks, for your information, the third Thursday of the month in Fairfax at the Old Town Hall from 7:30 to 9. The address is 3999 University Drive. The luckiest man over here, because he can literally, can you believe it? He can walk, it'll take a minute or less.
It's 3 doors down.
To walk to the event and come back. Well, he doesn't need a parking place, just so you know.
Probably the closest person that has attended that meeting.
That's hard to beat, I can tell you.
Yeah.
And also coming up on June 20, we have the expo where we'll have you there again.
Yes,
I'm very excited about that.
Yes.
I do want, the reason we're having you on the show, because I want this to get out. And we want people to know about this.
Yeah, we deal with a lot of folks that generally a little bit older, and a lot of the calls we get are, my great uncle passed away, my great aunt died, my grandfather passed away, and he's got this collection. And so we're able to help those people a lot of times. And a lot of times people don't know where to turn. And if they go to other types of dealerships, like a pawn shop or a secondhand, if they don't specialize in it, they're not going to be able to offer as much money as a specialist dealer can offer for that stuff.
While we are here, this will be for you. There's an association, I don't know if you hear about it, it's called National Association of Retired Counselors. And these are professionals coming together. They help the elderly in general. Might be good for you to hook up to them because they are connected with all those people. And truly, the organization is designed and they want each other to know what the other person do, because those needs come over here and they want to be a counselor, mind you, just to say, hey, so-and-so can help you. I think that would be a good idea for you to hook up
It would be good. We do some work with state attorneys in Fairfax.
That's good.
And so, it's tough for them, right? They have a fiduciary responsibility to assist the estate, and where do you turn when you have ancient coins? So yeah, we should follow up on that.
Yeah, that's what this show definitely want to get the word out, so and then you can also visit him at his store so you can get a see. When I was there last time, I see this big bill, but I never saw in my life.
Yeah, that's the size of the U.S. bills up until 1923. In 1923, the Federal Reserve cut the size of the bill down to the ones that we have today, and those are known as small size bills. The previous size bills are known as the large size bills. Nothing clever about
Was
that.
there any reason to that? I guess obviously they're saving paper, if nothing else. I don't know if that's the reason. I'm just curious.
Yeah, I don't really have a great historical perspective on why the switch.
I always find them some strange to me though, because I lived in Europe, and Europe big bills are bigger.
Yes, they are bigger. A lot of the technology in engraving is to avoid counterfeit. I mean, that's why they have faces on all of the bills. There's something about the human brain that's wired to recognize facial characteristics at a much higher rate of sensitivity than other things.
Gotcha.
When you look at a person looks at a bill that's been altered, if the face has been altered, they pick it up very quickly.
Got it.
And that's why you always see this big face, and that's why Ben Franklin's on the $100 bill. His face was enlarged in response to some of the counterfeiting activity in the most recent 10-year period. But it's the large bills fall into the category of they don't make them like they used to. These are professional engravers. This is all they did. It's beautiful artwork, and they're quite rare, and people collect them. They're quite expensive in higher grades because of the artwork and because of the rarity. And it's paper; it doesn't last, But we have. As much a collection as we can get our hands on from time to time. But the history of paper money is very short too. I mean, the Western European paper money only goes back to mid 1700s. Okay. Some of the Napoleonic assignats are some of the first pieces out. So you're talking 200, 250 years is the history of paper money in the history of mankind. Compared to gold and silver, it's a very short period. And given the prevalence of debit cards, paper money might be might be doomed in the next 50 years. Right? We'll be collecting used Amex cards instead of coins.
Maybe that's going to be the new thing to collect.
I hope not, but you never know.
Amex dating from 2004. That's a long time since.
That's a rare year. You don't see so many Amex cards from 2004. So you never know. But paper money is a fantastic thing to collect, and it's all the 20th century small size is very accessible. It's even in uncirculated condition. It's not terribly expensive for collectors. But once you get into the large size notes, that's where the serious collectors go. And there's a whole progression from the obsolete banknotes, which started in this country because all the banks had state charters. So every bank issued their own currency, essentially.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
There's one we always have. It's called the Bank of the Valley of Virginia. It was based in Winchester, and it was a very large bank because of all the farming activity in the Shenandoah. And they issued their own banknotes from the Bank of the Valley of Virginia. And the deal was, if you went there and deposited gold and silver, they would give you these notes, and they'd be easier to carry around and trade with. But at the end of the day, somebody could go back to the bank and get gold and silver. In 1860, Abraham Lincoln introduced the National Banking Act, and it forced the state banks to get national bank charters, largely because of abuses of taking the gold and silver, handing out cash, and then shutting the doors and running away, not redeeming the money. Plus, this is a time before Google and the internet. So if you were in Alabama and you had local banknotes, and then you went to Boston for business, people in Boston don't know they have banks in Alabama banknotes. They don't know if they're real or not. So it's very hard. There's a huge haircut that people would take on out-of-state bank notes. So in 1860, Lincoln started the National Banking Act, and there was a series of federal charters where all these state banks converted to national banks, some of which are still around today, like Bank of America. And they went through this progression of going through the National Banking Charter Acts and issuing their own currency, but it was backed by federal bonds. So there was less shenanigans backing the money. And then there's a period, there was gold certificates issued by the federal government. So you could take that in, you get paid in gold. There's a $20, you get a $20 gold piece or a $10 gold piece or whatever it was. And those were better than the silver certificates, which were backed by silver, and you would get a silver dollar or silver half dollar, whatever it was. But today's money, it's not backed by gold or silver.
I know,
it's
that's
just,
right.
Full faith and credit.
I know, it is really, that's a whole story, I guess, for everyone and everything.
Yeah, 1964 was the last year for silver in the United States, and the silver certificates were redeemed up through 68. And after that, after 1968, it's pretty much just fiat currency.
That is a whole subject in itself.
It's interesting to study. I think it's a...
No, that's what the fascinating thing about you is that you get that story, that historical prospect.
I was not a big history fan, growing up and going to college at all. But when you can touch and hold, I had a coin from Nero.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's pretty amazing to hold a coin with Nero's image on it. And it starts to put in perspective sort of how the progression of history works. I think it's just a more fun way to learn history.
Oh yeah, most definitely. I was fascinated when while waiting for you, I pick up the book and start reading. It give you this history, what's happening with this president and that, the other thing. Talking about opening you to the desire to learn.
It's interesting. We had a coin we sold the other day. It was a 1786 2 Louis d'Or, and it's Louis XVI gold coin. And it was minted 3 years before he was executed in 1789. And there it is, and it was uncirculated, just as plain as day.
Wow.
So that kind of stuff is available. It's not outrageously expensive. It is accessible for most people. And it's an interesting way to look and touch history. It's a way
yes, very much fascinating. It's very much telling. And probably, if you ask me, we just have somebody over here an hour ago was talking about language, studying language. That would be a good way to really, and I think that it'll easily capture the interest of the student. If you want to teach them the history, using the coins will get their attention. Because one of the problems of history in teaching is that it's just theory. There's nothing to hinge it on.
It's dates and treaties and battles.
Yes, and this which is like it's just a mush of whatever. Right. But if you see that and put a story behind it, then it makes much more interesting, much more fascinating.
Absolutely. Yeah, when it becomes very tangible like that.
Yes.
And coins, because they're metal, they survive the test of time. And we have French coins going back to the 1400s.
Oh, really?
And yeah, they're not that uncommon. I sold a Venetian coin. It was a gold from 1492. I just thought because of the date of it, it was a very interesting coin, But this was a coin, a gold coin, from Venice at the year that Columbus sailed the United States. And wasn't a fortune. It was available, but there's a lot of those things out there. And whether you have an interest in European or Far Eastern history, they both have very deep coinage histories. In South America, most of the coinage starts with colonialism. There isn't a whole lot before that. But once you start to feel and touch those pieces, you get a sense of what was really going on. And a lot of what we know about the Roman Empire, honestly, is from the coins. Well, we found, I sold a coin the other day with a quadriga on the back, and that's a chariot pulled by 4 horses. And there's an image of it on the coin. So it's got to be, pretty accurate from the time period, unless you think that the Ben-Hur stories are fake. Look at the back of the coin. It's there. You can look at it. So it's, I think it's an interesting way to look at history because I was not a fan of history at all. But
I was fascinated. I stopped to your office and I opened one of those books, started reading them. I was totally, completely fascinated.
Yeah. We tell people buy the book before you buy the coin. There's almost always a book about whatever subject you're interested in. And a lot of people start with buying a few coins and they start to get fascinated by a certain area. If you were to begin collecting, I would say don't pick a series and then try and do all the coins in that series. I think that's the biggest mistake that the Boy Scouts or any of the younger kids make is they try and do the Lincoln Wheat pennies or the Buffalo nickels. And it can either be tedious or you get down to the last 4 or 5 and they're all like $1,000 a piece. And at age 12 you're not going to get one. Start with like a survey, what's called a typeset. Get one of each kind, just get some different things. See what sparks your interest, see what makes you, excited. Obviously in this area of the country, the Civil War is very, very popular. Anything to do with that is, very deep collector market. If you're in the Northeast, there's Confederate, or not Confederate, but constitutional currency. There was constitutional script written, and I have one dated from 1776. It was a 2 shilling note. And that stuff, it wasn't a fortune. It was available. So there's different things to collect on different periods of history, depending on what you're interested in. Don't pick one right away. Just kind of dabble a little bit and get a sense of what's available, and what's out there, and then you'll know what it is that you like to collect. Some people, that are, especially the United States, a lot of people from other countries at some point, they like to go and find coins or currency from the countries they're from. My family's from Italy, so early Italian states are interesting, and it brings home the whole story that there really was no sense of a country of Italy. And these were all little fiefdoms that minted their own coins and were considered independent countries for hundreds of years. So it's that's how I would recommend somebody think about going out to collect.
You know, the thing that I just had an idea that I think you should give some seminars. I don't know if you have done that in the past.
Once in a while I've done it, but yeah.
I mean, just for those who are interested, not necessarily each and every week, but here and there I will put one out and then send it to your customers, invite them to have a friend and give them some insight, interesting stories about the coin here and this, that, the other thing, because I think that there is a public who's interested in that, say nothing of the fact that will help them do something they're saving. But I think every 6 months or so, throwing a seminars would be a good thing to do. As people, I mean, people come to your office and say, let's fly 6 months from now, whatever. Yeah. And because there is knowledge, there is history, there whatever, they have the keys, they can get to that and get them more learning.
The more you know, the more interested you are in the coin, the more it means to you. And if you just look at it and it's some guy on the back is a horse, it doesn't mean much. But if you learn about the coin, you understand where it's from and what its purpose and history is, you know, it becomes more interesting to collect. So I agree with that, yeah.
Okay, good. And now, one last question. There's not a lot of stores like you in the area.
No, this is a very specialized type of business. There's, you know, a couple in the DC area tops. But likewise, you know, not everyone collects rare coins or antique jewelry. So it is a very, very specialized market. Yeah. Okay. I think we have the largest store, though, in the area.
I believe so. I believe so, and it's very, very interesting. Yeah, folks, I definitely suggest you stop by and visit him. You get to learn a lot, and the value of history can never be underestimated. And this is a good way to learn about it because fascinating. I mean, you read the thing about Franklin Delano Roosevelt and this, that, the other thing, Ted Roosevelt and what have you. It becomes alive.
You don't know where you've been, you don't know where you're going.
That's right, that's right. So if nothing else but the coin, which has their value, but also get to learn more about your country, the history, I think that that will not hurt at all. So penny pinchers and jewelry?
Penny pincher coins and jewelry, or we're on the web at pennypinchercoins.com. Okay. And we're in Fairfax City on Main Street.
Okay, thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Basil.
Okay.
This program was brought to you by Organo Gold. Organo Gold is a health and wellness company that provides healthy coffees, teas, and chocolate. All one has to do is consume the available coffee, teas, chocolate, and other products to get all the available benefits. One can also share these products with others to help them improve their health as well.